Josh Green here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by Tarik Zaina, the first professional boxer to come out of Gibraltar, now based in Tijuana, Mexico. How are you doing, Tarik?
I'm very good, mate. Early morning here for us. Thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward.
On the grind, nice and early, I hear. You've already had a session. We're speaking at 9:30 local time, and you've already got a session in. That's what we like to hear.
Of course. First of two of the day.
It's got to be done. It's got to be done. Now, we wanted to speak to you about your story. It's an amazing story, really. And it all started in Gibraltar, a place not particularly famed for its boxing heritage. But where did the journey start for you, and why did you first step foot in a boxing gym?
So that's a great question, and I'm about to give you a great answer. So it all started because I used to be a very misbehaved kid, and I would fight in school, in the streets. Literally, I would fight so much, and most of the times I used to get beat up because I was tall and lanky and slim. So I would just decided one day I'm gonna join the boxing gym and learn how to defend myself so I can fight better in the street, literally. And then I joined, and it turned out to be pretty good. Had a few fights in Gibraltar as an amateur. Then at the age of 18, I went to university in Leeds in the UK, resumed my amateur career there, and that's where it all kicked off. And I had quite a lot of fights, fought in the ABAs, won the Yorkshires, got to the final of the ABAs actually. And then fast forward to 2020, that was my plan. I actually had quite a big achievement at the back end of 2019. I won the King of the Ring tournament in Europe. I fought for England, and I won gold, and I won the belt as the best fighter. And then COVID hit, and everything shut down. And I just thought if I really wanted to resume my career, I'd had to do something that was not being in England, because in England nothing was happening, you know. So then I made a little short list of 3 countries, which was Kazakhstan, Philippines, and Mexico. I did my research. Kazakhstan and Philippines were fully shut down still, but the only country it was open was Mexico. And I spoke Spanish due to being from Gibraltar. So I just got a one-way ticket out here, man. That was it. I booked the Airbnb for 2 weeks, and I just landed in the apparent most dangerous city in the world. It's actually a great place to be. Don't know what the news are on about. And yeah, I just went down to Eric Morales' gym, and I just said, look, I'm looking to debut. What's happening? You know, let's go. Get me in. I want to join the scene. And that was it, man. Fast forward almost 3 years, here I am. 12-0-1, top 10 in the UK, almost top 100 in the world. You know, so it's been good. It's been good.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. I mean, for you in Gibraltar, I mentioned there aren't really too many prospects in terms of boxing in Gibraltar. That decision was made quite early to go over to the UK. What was the switch like for you between the two?
So, believe it or not, after I turned professional, there's another professional fighter in Gibraltar right now. He's currently 3-0. So I'm very glad I got to start that little movement. We do have, I'd say, about 2 or 3 amateurs. I mean, look, mate, Gibraltar, it's such a small place. 30,000 people, probably 5,000 youth out of those 30,000. So, you know, you can imagine there's not much going on in terms of boxing. And we would have about 1, maybe 2 fights amateur a year. You know, I think it was about 4 amateur fights before I went to the UK, and then I was fighting literally every other week. So it was such a huge change. Like, just imagine fighting twice a year as an amateur to fighting, I don't know, 10, 12 times a year as an amateur. So it was, for me, it was amazing, because I was like, wow, this is exactly what I was dreaming of. Because, you know, training, it takes it out of anyone, you know. So when I went to England and I made that switch, I was really happy to be doing what I love. And then eventually I grew the love for the sport. And right now I could tell you it's my passion, it's my calling, it's my purpose. I love it, man. I love fighting. So yeah.
Your time in England, we were speaking off camera, you got to spar and spend some time in the gym with some fairly notable names. You were still very much learning your trades back then. How beneficial was it spending that time with them? And can you give us some names you spent the time with?
Of course. So, so the first pro gym I actually joined, the main professional fighters there were Reece Cartwright, Justin Newell, and Ishmael Davis. I think all of them pretty much had one of them. Ishmael should be fighting on the next gen matchroom card on the 11th of November. Yeah. Reece Cartwright fought against Shakan Peters and Dan Aziz. So they were my main sparring guys that I would be around all the time. And then obviously, you know, as I started developing in the scene, by the way, I was still an amateur in all of this. I used to train with Keith Walton. He's the current trainer of Ishmael Davis. And then, you know, I started going around. I sparred Harry Scarf. I sparred Mark Heffron. I sparred Liam Smith a couple of times. Who else did I spar professional? For right now, that's what comes to my mind. But yeah, I did spar a lot of other amateur professionals that are less known, you know, more like local scene, English level guys. But for the ones that I can think of the top of my head, yeah, those would be, I'd say, the top guys that I used to, you know, spar with here and there. So it was great.
And the next step in your career, you say, was moving over to Tijuana. As you said, the most dangerous city in the world is branded sort of by many people.
Yes,
that must have been a very difficult decision. There are a lot of reasons for staying in the UK. There's a lot of fight action over here, but you can certainly say the same about Tijuana. How difficult was that decision?
I mean, I'll be honest with you, mate. It wasn't difficult at all. It was actually pretty smooth. Obviously, everyone thought I was crazy, and you know, man, I'm not gonna tell you any names, but when I said, hey, I'd like to turn pro, you know, certain people around me were telling me, mate, you're not ready. You still need to train for another 2-3 months as a pro before you can turn pro. And you know, there wasn't much, how can I say, support or belief in me when I wanted to go pro in that summer of 2020, because you remember England opened back up, right? And I was just like, wow, man, whoa, no way. But then I just thought, man, I don't need anyone to believe in me as long as I believe in myself, you know. And then when I told the people around me that I was going, all of them just literally had a laugh at me. They just thought I was some madman who was gonna go and probably end up coming back within the month. And that gave me a lot of motivation. It gave me a lot of fire within. And I remember I just went, and then the first event that happened that kind of put a little respect on my name was when Josh Warrington fought Mauricio Lara. I remember Mauricio Lara was sparring in our gym here a few months prior to that, and I remember watching him and thinking, man, this guy can really punch, like, cool. But he was not known then. And then when he was gonna fight, I remember I told the guys back in England, I was like, look, don't overlook this kid, man. He can upset the odds. And they were all having a laugh at me. And then he upset the odds. And then they were all like, oh man, oh, you're right. Oh, cool. And then obviously I started fighting. I started learning how to knock people out, because in England I was more like a jab and move kind of guy. And in Mexico I learned how to really sit on my shots and learn how to basically cause some damage and hurt people. And you know, then I started fighting, and next thing you know, I overtook everyone that I used to train with in terms of experience and fighting record. You know, next thing you know, I'm 7-0, 8-0. I was fighting frequent. It was great. And then obviously the tables turned, you know, and they did start respecting me. And eventually, a couple of my mates from England did come over here to train with me and get a little bit of that Mexican experience. Obviously, I don't want to tell any names, but you know, and then more people started coming over. We had a couple amateurs as well come over from England to train. And I was like, well, look at that. You know, in the beginning, you say, oh no, you shouldn't go, but now you're supporting the what I did. So, you know, it just comes down to prove that if you want to do something, it doesn't really matter what people around you think, as long as you believe in yourself and the inner you tells you to do it. Just do it, man. And I think it would be one of the best decisions of my life, because I went back to Europe this last summer to have a little feeler to see if I want to move back. And I'll be honest with you, man, I didn't. That's why I'm back here, you know. And I'm right next door to California, which is, I'd say, the best place for boxing in the world. You know, Southern California, to be honest, the whole of California. But just think, LA, from LA down here, man, there's everyone. Everyone trains out here. Everyone trains out here. So, like sparring and stuff, you know, I just told you the names I sparred in England. Man, if I were to tell you the names I've sparred out here, it's such a difference in level, and it's amazing. You know, I've even shared the ring with the ex-world champions here, you know, in the US/Mexico. So, I mean, happy days. You know, when it comes to boxing, I think there's no better place than where I'm at right now for myself, obviously.
You mentioned those world champions that you shared the ring with in Mexico and California as well. Are you going to be able to divulge any of those names that you've shared the ring with?
I mean, look, I have been in the ring with Munguia, but he's just way too strong and heavy. So I was just helping him. You know, when they do 12 rounds, and then in the last 4 rounds, they put in the lighter kid who's going to move around and give you problems, you know? So that was me a few times. And then obviously for my last fight, I was in camp with Joel Diaz. So I was sparring, man, there's just so many guys in that gym that are like really, really good. And I was the main sparring partner of Batir Akhmedov. He's a top 10 140 pounder. And man, that guy is just really hard work, because he's just relentless pressure, like all the time on you. And man, that was such a good learning curve for me. And I'm also helping out, you know, the Matchroom card on November 4th in Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who's fighting against Suleiman Sissoko, he's actually from my gym.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Isaias Lucero, he's actually from my gym, and currently I'm one of his main chief sparring partners for that fight.
Are you expecting to cause the upset in that one?
Well, it's a tough fight, man, you know, because Suleiman is a very good mover on his feet, and he's a very good boxer. And I could say I'm the only guy who can kind of imitate that style in the gym. So, you know, I reckon I do a pretty good job, but I don't know, man. I'd say it's a 60-40 for Sissoko, but if this guy catches him, he's going to knock him out cold. He's got very heavy hands.
You talk about the people that sort of warned you against moving over to Mexico, that didn't believe that you could do it. What will they be thinking now you've got to the best position you have with 12 wins on the record and that one draw, which we'll talk about in a minute?
I mean, they're just going to think, man, this kid believed in himself and did what he said he was going to do. I'm one fight away, Josh, from the big stage. Just one fight. You know, I stepped up in my last fight against the top 10 ranked in the world. I was just brought to be beat. Even the commentators, they didn't know who I was. They were saying things like, well, let's see if this guy can fight. And I ended up winning at least 7 or 8 rounds of the 10. So I do belong at that level, you know. And this is like in my last interview with IFL, like, man, I just want to fight any 140 pounder. Any. Just get me in there, no problem. Anyone in the UK, anyone in anywhere in the world, to be honest with you. Because I believe, I know, I believe in that level. And that's the only little piece of the puzzle left to prove to myself, first and foremost, and to everyone around me that, holy shit, he actually did what he said he was going to do. Because, yeah, right now I'm doing great. You know, thank God for everything. Top 10 in England, almost top 100, a lot of experience, great training. But I've just got that one little piece of the puzzle, you know, that final bit, which is bound to happen before the end of the year. So
let's talk about that draw last time against Jesus Saracho.
yeah,
you said there you thought you won 7 or 8 rounds. In your opinion, why didn't it go your way?
I mean, mate, come on. You're interviewing me from the country where some politics like that happen the most, man. You know, when you go away to fight as an away fighter, you know the good old saying, right? You need to get a knockout to get a draw, right? So I was brought in, I think it was about 2.5, maybe 3 week notice for the fight. He was the champion, he had the belt. It was his party, man, his promoter, his show, he's the main event. I was just brought in as a guy with a padded looking record, and bring him in. Saracho's going to take him out in about 3-4 rounds, and let's go and enjoy. But then obviously I showed up, I did what I did. Mate, I just wish, I could show you that moment through my eyes. Saracho's team was happy that they got a draw. They were literally buzzing. They were like, "Oh my God, we're so happy," because if he had another loss, that would have been. I mean, he's not in the top 10 ranking anymore, and his ranking has gone drastically low after fighting me. But like the point of the matter I'm trying to make is, when you go as an away fighter, if you don't knock your man out, you're not gonna win. And everyone, like literally everyone, thought I won. There was, if you look at the unofficial scorecard, I won 8 out of 10 rounds. Usually the unofficial scorecard is not too far off the official one. So let's say the official one should have been maybe 6 out of 10 rounds. Still a UD. And one of the judges gave it to me, and the other 2 gave it a draw. So, when you look at it, it's like, okay, and I mean, look, obviously I'm gonna blame myself. I didn't knock him out. It was my fault at the end of the day. But it's a learning curve, Josh, because now I know when I do get that call to go fight in England or fight anywhere, I need to go there to knock this man out. Because if I don't, I'm risking something like happened in my last fight. So for me, I think it was supposed to happen, because now I know when I go into my next fight, if I don't knock this man out cold, I'm not going to win the fight. So it just hires those bad intentions and that killer instinct within. So, everything is as it should. And I'm glad I had that 10-round experience.
You talk about a call there to come over to England. Is that something that you're expecting soon? You're expecting a big call for a big fight because people are going to want a piece of Tarik Zaina?
Mate, listen, 100%. I mean, look, I'd fight any guys from the top 9. I've studied all their names. I think about them daily. Eventually, it'll happen. No doubt, no doubt. I know a couple of them are currently tied up with fights. Dalton Smith won't fight till next year. Adam Azim is fighting for the European title, I think in November or something.
Yep, November.
So I know and Jack Catterall obviously is fighting Linares in about a couple of weeks. So I know that, and I think I don't know if the hype job or HARA Davies is fighting against that old man Ismael Barroso. I don't know, but I did see something that the WBO are ordering it. So obviously those 4 are kind of out of the picture. But any other man other than them, mate, I'll take the call within a week's notice. Just get me on a flight and get me there, because I am British. I was Gibraltarian. I did live in England for 8 years, so I just feel like that is my home, realistically. Although I'm a Moroccan heritage and whatnot, but man, I mean, English is my first language. My banter is British. I love me a good cup of tea. I love a good curry, which has now become the national dish. So I am English at the end of the day. It's just I just need to, the fans just need to know who I am, because I feel like it'd be such a good little, gel my character with my fighting style with the British fans. I just think it's going to be great, man. And it's just a matter of time. There's no doubt it'll happen. There's no doubt, because sooner or later one of these prospects needs to get tested, man. And what a better thing than a what do they call it? A local scrap, a local matchup, right? There's nothing better than that. Let's be honest.
You talk about those names: Dalton Smith, Adam Azim, HARA Davies. If you could pick one of them as a perfect fight, who are you picking?
Any. I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. Obviously, the one I rate most of them is Jack Catterall, because he's done what he's done, and I rate him. I respect him. I know he's good. He's proved it. HARA Davies is, in my opinion, he's just a hype job quitting kind of guy. Josh Taylor made him quit. Jack Catterall beat him. I don't know who he really beat to think who he thinks he is. Like, that's just my opinion. People can prove me wrong. I'm happy to be proved wrong. Adam Azim, again, I just think he's just on that wave of hype right now. Again, just looked good against your average man, and all of a sudden he's the next big thing. Dalton Smith, he's all right. You know, he's fought some decent opponents and he's looked good. You know, I could say me and him would be a very good fight. I do like him. I know he comes from a good stable. I reckon that would be one hell of a fight. Me and Dalton, that would be a very good fight, and I reckon it'd be a true 50-50. Who else is in the top? For Sam Maxwell is finished. Lewis Ritson is finished. Casey Benjamin just came off 2 losses. He's probably not going to want another hard fight. Kane Gardner, he got beat in his last fight. I think that's it, mate. Oh, the other guy from Liverpool who broke his leg. What's his name? You know who I mean. Well, Robbie Davis. Robbie Davis Jr. Yeah, he's probably done as well. So, you know, it just leaves a few of us really in the 140, right? Who are actually live opponents. So yeah.
Well, yeah, we keep our fingers crossed for a call.
100%, mate.
Hopefully next time I speak to you, we'll have a fight date set and you'll be back over here in the UK for a big fight night.
Definitely, Josh. It's just a matter of time, and I'm very excited. I'm training. I'm in camp. I'm just literally waiting. It's very easy. You know, whoever's watching this interview, just drop me a message. You know, it's my decision at the end of the day. Just drop me a message, and that's it. It's very easy, man. And you know, I'm sure it'll happen. Just a matter of time, and next time it'll be one of them real life where you actually pass me the microphone interview.
We hope so, mate. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you. Have a good day, mate.